And looks like we're looking at 25542. And frankly, I haven't compared 25541 to 25542. Are your statements the same in both packages, except with respect to the fact that one relates to the Wolf Camp and one relates to the Bone Spring?
That is correct.
Okay. And do you know whether there are more paragraph numbers in one than there are in the other?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Turning to paragraph 41. In drawing your opinion that Marathon's costs are fair and reasonable, did you review the AFEs that accompanied the well proposals that Marathon sent out to the parties on July 9th, 2025?
Since the AFEs did not change from the well proposals that were sent out, the AFE that I did review, I believe, was the same as that one.
Okay, and if you turn to Exhibit A10 of your exhibits, and what does the ray line say here?
Updated spacing notification, Goliath Federal Com.
Okay, so this is not actually the well proposal, is it?
No, this is an update to the well proposal.
And turning to the second document in this same exhibit, this is a letter that appears to be dated August 25th of 2025. Do you agree?
That seems the correct date.
And again, what does the ray line say here?
Updated spacing notification, Goliath Federal Com.
So neither of these are the actual well proposal, are they?
I object to the question as assuming facts, not in evidence.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it's an incorrect characterization, but I think he can explain.
Okay.
I mean, these aren't the actual well proposal. I don't know that that's
So I think the question overruled.
okay.
Just ask the question. And when you refer to an exhibit, some of us don't have tabs or anything. Give us a page number of the 243 so we can just get there.
Yes, so this is page 103.
I'm there.
240.
And I'm there.
Okay.
So what's the question again?
The question is, what does the ray line say here? And I think he may have already answered that. But if you could just answer it again, because I got a little distracted.
Same here. Could you ask the question again, please?
Yes, we're looking at the letter dated August 25th, 2025. What does the ray line say here?
Updated spacing notification, Goliath Federal Com.
Okay, and does this or the previous document that we looked at in A10, do either of these have the elections attached?
It appears not.
Okay, so we don't have the initial well proposal here, is that correct?
Not in this exhibit.
And we don't have the elections to participate in this exhibit either, do we?
I don't believe so.
But if I understand correctly, there are AFEs attached to the second letter. Is that correct? Here, these are your AFEs, is that right?
They are.
And is it your testimony today that these same AFEs were attached to the actual well proposal that was issued on July 9th?
I did not personally send out those well proposals. So I am not sure. I can tell you they are typically attached to the initial well proposals.
So you don't know one way or another whether these were the AFEs that were attached to the, well, you don't know one way or another whether any AFEs were attached to the first well proposal. Is that correct?
I did not personally send those out.
So the answer is no. You have
No,
to say-
I am not completely sure. I'm not sure.
Let me ask my question again, because I would like to get a straight answer. You don't know whether an AFEs were attached to the July 9th letter, do you?
No,
And if they were attached, you can't say today whether these are the same AFEs that were attached to the July 9th letter. Is that right?
that is correct.
Looking at the AFE here, and actually I feel like I apologize, but I'm going to have to, my questions are based on the other application, so I'm going to have to find the other application here. In case number 25541 is the Bone Spring application, is that correct?
Could you repeat the case number?
25541?
I have 25462 as the case of the bone spring.
I believe that's the Tumblr.
Oh, excuse
Case
me.
number?
25542 is the case for the bone spring.
The 25542 is the case for the Bone Spring.
Yes.
Okay. Is there an indication on the cover page of 25542 or 25? Oh, okay, this is 25542. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not doing what I needed to do. 25542.
So before you ask a question, please reference an exhibit number and a page number.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm looking at page 106 of 243.
Okay.
This is the AFE for the Goliath 24 FedCom, Federal Com 303H. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In the middle of the AFE, do you see the table with a column titled Cost Feature Group?
I do.
Is this table the breakdown of costs estimated to be incurred in the drilling, completion, equipping, and facilities for the 303H?
It appears so.
The column Cost Feature Group is the list of various tangible and intangible cost categories that an operator may use in the development of the well. Is that
It
correct?
doesn't describe it as such on the AFE, but I do know that the cost feature group typically includes tangible and intangible costs.
And across the table, there are other header columns that read drilling, completions, pumping equipment, and facilities, correct?
Correct.
So if you're looking at the dollar figures that populate the table, those are the costs that are associated with the cost feature group as it applies to drilling, completions, pumping equipment, and facilities, right?
Correct.
What are the fair and reasonable costs for casing and tubing that Marathon expects to incur in the drilling of this well?
As I did not craft this AFE, I do not know what cost feature group that is combined with or included in.
Well, you would agree that you read the table from left to right. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if you're looking at the first entry, A000, casing and tubing, do you see that?
Oh, yes.
And you look across to the right under the drilling column, do you see that?
Yes.
Is there an amount there for casing and tubing for drilling?
There is not.
Does Marathon intend to use any casing and tubing when it drills its well?
Presumably so.
And why isn't there a cost estimate there?
Might be included somewhere else, but I don't know where there's not a cost there. Again, I did not craft this AFE.
And who did craft the AFE?
The drilling, completions, pumping equipment, and facilities groups.
And you don't have a witness here to testify to the AFE, is that correct?
I'll object to that question.
On what basis?
That the question is, we don't have a witness here to testify about the AFEs. I think that we don't have a drilling and completions witness to testify about the AFEs. But Mr. Miller is testifying about the AFEs to the extent they were sent out by the land department as part of the well proposals.
So his testimony, you're saying, is going to be limited to, yes, I sent them out, but I don't know what's the data that's in it?
I think he does have some knowledge about the data that's in it, and I think he can address that. I don't know that he has all of the data about all of the information that is in it, the AFEs.
Okay, I'm not gonna sustain the objection. It's overruled. Just please answer the question.
Would you mind repeating the question?
I don't know that I'll repeat it exactly the way it was, but my question is, why isn't there any cost estimate for casing and tubing under the drilling column?
That wasn't the question. You already asked that question and he answered the question. He doesn't know. And then you asked, well, isn't there a witness missing here? And that's when there came an objection.
Okay, so is there a witness here who can testify as to why there are no costs under the column for drilling for casing and tubing?
There's not.
And when you said it could be included in another column or another subject area, do you know if it was included in another column or another subject area?
Not for sure.
So that answer is no, you don't know.
The answer is no, I don't know.
So to your knowledge, the costs that would be necessary for casing and tubing for drilling are not included in this AFE, isn't that right?
Objection, it misstates his testimony. He said he didn't know.
So I think you have to stand by the answer you already have, Ms. Shaheen. So I'm going to sustain that objection. Can we move on?
Just like to confirm, do you know whether any of the other AFEs contain this information? I don't want to have to spend a lot of time going through each one of them, but if I represent to you that none of them have information relating to casing and tubing and drilling, you don't have any information to the contrary, do you?
I have no information to the contrary at this moment.
Do you know what are the fair and reasonable costs for casing and tubing that Marathon expects to incur in drilling the 303H?
To those specific items, no.
What are the comparable casing costs for drilling a well similar to the 303H in this area?
Again, to that granular level of specific cost, I do not know.
What are the fair and reasonable costs for drilling rig day rate that Marathon expects to incur in drilling the 303H?
I do not know.
Marathon intends to use a drilling rig when it drills the 303H, correct?
That I do know.
And the answer is,
Yes, ma'am.
what are the comparable drilling rig costs for drilling a well similar to the 303H in this area?
If it's in the category of drilling, and am I understanding you right? The category of drilling,
I'm asking you, what are the comparable drilling rig costs?
the rig specifically.
Yes, drilling rig cost for drilling a well similar to the 303H. Sorry, it's the 301H.
I'm on the 303H just for clarification.
Okay. The first one is the 303, and then we go backwards to 301. Okay.
So the question is, what are the comparable costs?
For that specific cost item, I do not know.
Actually, the question is, what are the comparable drilling rig costs, not necessarily related to that column?
Yeah, I referenced just that specific cost, that drilling rate, I believe you called it.
Drilling rig cost
A drilling rig cost.
for drilling a well similar to the 303H.
That's a specific cost, and I do not know.
What are the fair and reasonable costs for directional drilling / MWD-LWD that Marathon expects to incur in drilling the 303H?
I do not know.
Marathon intends to directional drill using MWD and or LWD in the drilling of the Goliath 303H. Is that right?
Being as is a horizontal well, I would agree.
What are the comparable directional drilling MWD, LWD for drilling a well similar to the 303H in this area?
I do not know.
What are the fair and reasonable costs for bits and mills that Marathon expects to incur in drilling the 303H?
It does not list any costs, so I do not know.
The AFE doesn't include the cost for bits and mills.
It does not on this 303H.
But Marathon intends to use bits and mills in drilling the 303H, correct?
Presumably so.
What are the comparable bits and mills costs for drilling a well similar to the 303H in this area?
I do not know.
And if I ask the same questions for the remainder of the AFEs that are produced in cases 25541 and 25542, would your answers be the same?
If they were asked in the exact same manner, I would stipulate yes, it would be the same.
In your initial statement, you mentioned Marathon plan to reduce surface disturbance using existing facilities. And then today you corrected that to say that these shared facilities don't exactly exist today. Is that right?
That is correct. I corrected that statement.
What facilities are you referencing?
I corrected the statement to say that there were no existing surface facilities, but that we would be using Marathon's planned facilities in their APD.
Okay, and what are those planned facilities?
Be 2 well pads and 1 CTB.
Turning now to your exhibit A10,
Page
page
number?
98 of 241. Oh, actually, we've already talked about this. This is your July 24th updated spacing notification, correct?
Correct.
And I can share again if you give me a sec here. That's not correct. Did Marathon send the July 24th, 25th letter to notify interest owners of updates to Goliath well names?
That is correct.
Did Marathon also send this letter to update AFEs reflecting the correct names of the wells on the AFEs?
It says attached to this letter are AFEs updated to reflect the correct well names. So yes,
And did Marathon send this letter to notify the interest owners of an update to the spacing of certain Goliath wells?
that's correct.
Did you include the updated AFEs that were attached to the July 24th letter in your exhibits in either case?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Did you include the updated AFEs that were attached to the July 24th letter? Were those included in your exhibits in these two cases?
You'll have to bear with me. I did not personally send out these updated notifications. So you're asking if the updated AFEs with the correct well names were attached to this correspondence?
No, I'm asking whether they're included in the exhibits in this matter.
I would have to review, but I do believe that all the AFEs that have been attached are with the correct well names. So I would agree, yes.
Let me just make sure I'm clear that you're answering the question. And so this is the August 25th letter, and I'm just scrolling down.
I'm at the July 24th letter, page 98,
Oh, I'm sorry.
241.
Right, I don't have that in front of me. So in case number 25442, which is what we have here on the screen.
I don't show anything on the screen.
Oh, sorry. This being 25542, page 99 of 243, the July 24th letter, updated spacing notification, which was sent out to update the well names on the AFEs, correct? And so my question is, does this exhibit include those updated AFEs?
Well, I am seeing an AFE for the Goliath 24 Federal Com 303H.
Do you see it attached to the August 24th letter?
Again, I'm on the July 24th, 2025, page 99, 243. Oh,
Sorry, the July. Do you see it attached to the July 24th letter?
yes, I see it attached.
You do?
Well, the 303H is behind the letter. Page
Perhaps
106.
we're not looking at the same package. So on page 99 of 243,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is case number 25542. And I'm just scrolling down here. Oh, page down, it might be a little quicker. Page 101, page 102, page 103, there is no AFE. There's the August 25th letter.
I see it now. Yes.
So I'll ask the question just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Were the updated AFEs that were attached to the July 24th letter, are those included in your exhibits?
I did not personally send out these notifications, so I cannot verify. I see AFEs attached beyond the August 25th letter. I cannot state that those were attached to the July 24th letter.
Okay, so I'll ask the question one more time because I think it's a yes or no question.
Mhm.
Are the AFEs that were attached to the July 24th letter when it went out, are those AFEs in attached to the July 24th letter in this exhibit?
That is an I don't know. Because I don't.
You don't know whether this exhibit that you're looking at has the AFEs attached to it?
Maybe we're just misunderstanding each other. I have a list of AFEs behind the August 25th letter.
Right. Do you have a list of AFEs behind the July 24th letter?
We do not.
Thank you. After the August 25th letter, did Marathon send out any additional updates to interest owners regarding changes to Goliath well names, spacing, or provide additional AFEs reflecting updates?
Not to my knowledge.
In this letter, Marathon updated the spacing for a number of wells. Is that correct?
Which letter?
The one that, am I sharing now? August 25th, 2020?
On page 103.
Page 103. Yeah,
Ms. Shaheen, I'm asking because the record can't pick up what you're showing on the screen.
I understand. In this letter, did Marathon update the spacing for its wells?
Yes.
As to the Goliath 603H, is it fair to say that Marathon has spaced the first take point, last take point, and bottom hole location for this well to be approximately 1,271? And here again, I think I'm in the wrong set of application, the wrong application. Wait, here we go. Turning to page 104 of 243, looking at the 603H here. Is it fair to say that Marathon has spaced the first take point, last take point, and bottom hole location for this well to be approximately 1,271 feet from the east line of sections 24, 25, and 36 in Township 26 South, Range 34 East?
1,271 feet from the east line. Correct.
And the 603H has a proposed total vertical depth of 13,100 feet. Is that right?
That's what it states.
On the same page as to the 604H, is it fair to say that Marathon has spaced the first take point, last take point, and bottom hole location for this well, meaning the 604H, to be approximately 1,410 feet from the east line of sections 24, 25, and 36 in Township 26 South, Range 34 East?
That is correct.
And the 604H also has a proposed total vertical depth of 13,100 feet. Is that right?
That's what it states.
And the difference between 1,410 feet from the east line of those sections and 1,271 feet from the east line of the same sections is less than 100 feet. Is that right?
I would say that'd be greater than 100 feet.
Let me ask that again. The difference between the two is less than 150 feet. Is that right?
Doing some math in my head, but yes, that sounds correct.
Does Marathon intend to have the producing laterals of the 603H and the 604H spaced 139 feet from one another?
I can't imagine, so I will leave that to Mr. Patrick in his testimony, though.
The geologist will testify about the spacing of the wells.
If it's in his testimony.
Going back now to the July 24th letter one more time. This letter references that Marathon proposed to drill. This is the July 9th. It references the letter that Marathon sent out proposing to drill the Goliath wells on July 9th, 2025. Is that right?
That's correct.
And subject to the changes to well names and spaces that are referenced in the July 24th and August 25th letters, the wells from the July 9th proposal are the same Goliath wells that are the subject of these two cases that we have today, 25541 and 25542. Is that right?
It's my understanding that all the permitted Goliath wells had their names changed. So I would agree.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Turning to page 13 of 243. This is part of your self-affirmed statement in each of these cases. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you please read paragraph 36 of your Exhibit A into the record?
Marathon reproposed the Goliath wells to Tumblr on July 9th, 2025. A copy of the well proposal letter and AFEs are attached as Exhibit A10.
And that's not true, is it?
We look at Exhibit A10, please.
Sure.
So what is on the screen is the updated spacing notification, not the proposal letter.
Turning now to page 12 of 243. Paragraph 32. You state that Marathon has approved permits to drill all 17 Goliath wells, correct?
To my knowledge, that is correct.
Are you familiar with the C102s for the Goliath wells that appear as Exhibit A3 in both of your cases?
Would we mind flipping over to them?
Nope, we can certainly do that.
Ms. Hardy, hold on, Ms. Shaheen.
Mhm.
This takes too much time to flip this way and that way and put it on the screen. Ms. Hardy, does your witness have a copy of these exhibits?
I do.
Okay, great. Did you give a page number, please, so he can just turn to it in his book?
$28 of $243.
Thank you. Let us know when you get to that page.
I'm there.
Are you familiar with these C102s?
I did not fill them out, but I am familiar with the C102.
Have you compared these C102s that appear as exhibits in these cases with the APDs that you reference in paragraph 32 of your Exhibit A?
I have not made a comparison.
Are you aware of any differences between the C102s and the APDs?
From my knowledge, due to respacing the wells, a sundry must be made. So a new C12 is given.
And how many sundries will need to be submitted?
I would have to go back and count the number of wells that were updated for their spacing.
Are you aware whether Marathon will be submitting sundries for any other aspect of the 17 APDs that it currently has approved?
That I cannot give an answer.
Do you know whether there are any outstanding sundries of the approved permits?
I believe there are some outstanding sundries.
How many?
That I cannot give an answer.
Do you know what they relate to?
I believe bottom hole locations.
Turning to page 84. Is this a plat of the tracts that identify the ownership interests in each tract?
This is tract 1 ownership. Yes.
You've identified capital T Tract 1 as being all of sections 24 and 25 in Township 26 South, Range 34 East. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you've identified each owner in Tract 1 on this plat. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is the ownership interest in sections 24 and 25 the same in every quarter portion of the two sections?
No, they are not uniform between certain half sections.
Do you have another exhibit that depicts the difference in ownership interest?
No, we do not.
Can you please point me to the paragraph in your Exhibit A testimony where you discuss the level of diligence used by Marathon in examining title to the acreage?
Paragraph B19 is the plat of the tracts identify ownerships in each tract, as well as the parties Marathon seeks to pool.
And does that speak to the level of diligence that was used by Marathon in preparing those tracts?
It is our identification of the ownership, so it speaks to our identification of the ownership.
How much working interest does Puma Mineral Partners own in the north half of Section 25?
We did our tracts based on leases, so they're proportionally spread between the two sections. So if you're asking me the specific interest in the north half of 25, I cannot give the answer of 0.11%.
So you don't know.
No, ma'am.
Same for the south half. Can you say how much working interest Puma Mineral Partners owns in the south half of Section 25?
No, ma'am.
Does this exhibit reflect that Puma only owns a working interest in the south half of Section 25?
This exhibit shows that Puma owns a working interest in cumulatively Section 24 and 25.
And only a working interest. Is that right? I
Do you
can
mind
ask.
scrolling down? Just a little bit more, please. I'll make it easy. I'm just going to flip to it.
I'm sorry. Should I continue scrolling?
No, I'll just flip to it, ma'am. There is ownership depicted as various for overrides and production payment. There is a possibility that Puma is one of those. I would have to check our title.
Ms. Shaheen, if you could just scroll up. Oh, sorry, other way.
Oh, on page 87, Puma is listed as an override owner.
In which section?
It's on a unit-wide basis.
Turning to page 13. I call your attention to paragraph 39. Can you please read the first sentence of paragraph 39 into the record?
Marathon has made multiple attempts to engage in trade discussions with Tumblr.
Turning now to Exhibit A11, which is 116 of 243. I'll try to make this big enough for us to read. And here in this row here, where my hand is, this is the record of communications with Tumblr. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So I'm going to scroll over to the right so that we can see what communications there are here. In your chronology of contacts with Tumblr, the first time Marathon mentions the idea of a trade negotiation appears to be April 3rd, 2025. Do you see that?
I do.
I'm going to show what's previously been looked at as cross exhibit 1. Is this familiar to you?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a series of emails between Tumblr and Marathon. Is that right?
That is correct.
So scrolling down to the email from Mr. V, April 3rd, 2025. He informs you that Tumblr is thinking about the possibility of a trade for Conoco non-op interest in Paducah, Big Sink, and Fuller. Did you make any effort to determine whether Conoco owns any interest in the Big Sink?
I did not.
Did you make any effort to determine whether Conoco owns any interest in the Paducah?
I did not.
What about the Fuller?
I did ask about the Fuller to our OBO group, which is operated by others.
And did you inform, what did you learn when you asked about it?
That that our interest was held up in another matter with the operator.
And did you provide that information to Mr. V in response to his inquiry?
I did not.
Did Marathon ask Tumblr to clarify the sections, townships, or ranges it was proposing for a trade?
I asked for a specific proposal to the interests, which I think would qualify.
But you didn't ask Tumblr to identify sections, townships, or ranges, did you?
I asked for a specific proposal to the interests.
I'm going to ask it one more time. Did you ask them to provide you with sections, townships, and ranges?
No, I did not.
Sitting here today, can you point to any other trade discussions that you had with Tumblr regarding Goliath?
Only my request that I would characterize my first was, do you have any tracks in mind? I would characterize my second as, please submit, and you please have to scroll up so I don't misquote myself. The second request is to send in an offer with specifics to the interests.
Would it be fair to say that your attempts to engage Tumblr in trade discussions consisted of 2 emails?
Yes.
You testified earlier that you felt it was the onus of identifying specific Conoco interest that might be available for a trade in exchange for Tumblr's interest in these Goliath wells and the David wells. You testified that it was the onus of doing that work was on Tumblr. Do you recall that testimony earlier?
I do recall.
Can you define what you mean by, quote, land work?
The identification of a particular area and the research of the title to determine the ownership interest of the person or the entity you're trying to trade with.
So in other words, you mean title work, is that right?
Correct.
Are you familiar with how to do title work? Or do you commission title work?
I'm familiar with title work and I commission title work.
What's the average time, in your experience, what's the average time and cost it takes to complete title work for one section or 640 acres?
Considerable amount of time.
Would it be a month?
It could be.
Could it be more than a month?
Yes, it could be more than a month.
Where does someone go to get title records to do the title work that you believe Tumblr should have done to identify Conoco's interest?
There is the courthouse and online courthouse records.
And when you say the courthouse, you mean Lee County Courthouse, is that right?
They identified a number of general areas, so Eddy County.
So Eddy
also
County
be.
or, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So Eddy County or Lee County Courthouse.
Are you familiar with how many acres there are in Lee County?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. No, I'm not familiar with the total number of acres.
Could you estimate whether it's more or less than 2 million acres?
I could not.
Would you disagree with me if I told you it was more than 2 million acres?
I'm gonna object to this line of questions.
There's a point to it, and we're going to get to it shortly.
Okay, he's already said he doesn't know how many acres there are in Lee County, so this is just another way of asking that, and it's a sustain. So let's get to your point.
Okay. Would you agree if I told you it was 2 million acres?
That was the question that was objected to and sustained, so please move on.
Let's make it a hypothetical. Let's hypothetically say, as an expert, you're obligated to respond to my hypotheticals. Let's say Lee County has 2 million acres. How many weeks or months do you think it would take to complete the title work for 2 million acres in Lee County?
I'm going to object to speculation and to relevance. No one's talking about doing title work on all of Lee County.
Ms. Shaheen, how is it relevant?
It's relevant because the only way that Tumblr could know what Conoco's ownership is in Lee County is to research the entire county. They don't know where Conoco's ownership is. So if as Mr. Miller testifies, it's our obligation to go out and figure out what Conoco owns in Lee County, for example, then we would have to search title for all 2 million acres in Lee County. That's the point. And I just want Mr. Miller to recognize that it's unreasonable for him to say that Tumblr, and I'll ask this as a question, wouldn't you agree? Well, let me go back to the last question I asked, which was,
Well,
how much
we haven't
time?
ruled on the objection. This is taking longer than it really needs to. I understand the point you're trying to make. But I think there's another way of getting to this point without going through these hypotheticals about how long it will take to research all 2 million acres in New Mexico. So I sustain the objection. Why don't you rephrase your question to get to your point?
How much time do you think it would take Tumblr to research title to determine what Conoco owns in Lee County?
I think that's the same question. But
Was that an objection?
yes, I do
Okay,
object for the
sustained.
same reason.
Please move on, Ms. Shaheen.
Is it Conoco's expectation that Tumblr spends that amount of time and resource to identify the specific legal description of Conoco's acreage prior to making a trade proposal?
I'm not here to put any expectations on Tumblr other than submitting a trade proposal that can be evaluated.
I don't think that answered my question. I said, is it Conoco's expectation that Tumblr spend the time that would be necessary to identify Conoco's interest in Lee County prior to making a trade proposal?
To an extent that they want to trade, yes. There are other ways of going about it, though, than running title on all of Lee County.
Yes. And wouldn't you agree that the most reasonable thing to do would be to ask Conoco what interest they have that they would be willing to negotiate over?
I'm not going to deny that's reasonable.
Okay,
But-
you've answered my question. Thank you. You also talked earlier about authorization that you've received to accelerate development on the drill schedule. Do you recall that testimony earlier today?
I do.
When did you get this authorization?
I'm trying to recall the specific day, but I believe it was last Tuesday.
This past Tuesday, you received an authorization, and who did you receive that from?
I received it from my land manager, who
And what was the specific authorization that you received?
that we can accelerate these wells on the drill schedule.
And what do you mean by accelerate?
move them further up in time.
And have you done that?
I have not checked the drill schedule since that time. It only comes out so often, but I would assume it's at the same place that it was, because we probably won't accelerate unless we prevail at this contested hearing.
Where are they currently on the drill schedule?
They're in the first quarter of 2027.
And is it your testimony today that if your applications are approved, you're going to accelerate the drilling schedule for these wells?
That is our intention.
When were the APDs that are set to expire 2026 first issued?
There were several issuance dates.
Do you know what those dates are?
I just flipped to it.
Are you referring to an exhibit in your?
Yes, ma'am. Page 94 of 243, I'm sorry, Exhibit A9.
Oops, sorry. So the APDs that expire in January of 2026 were issued when?
February of 2023.
And those that expire in February 2026, when were those issued?
I show February 2023.
They were issued then or
Oh.
submitted
Oh.
then?
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. February 2024.
So these were approvals for 2 years?
Yes, the BLM has kind of changed their ways of their timing on their APDs. But this would probably be in the 2-year plus the extension range.
Have you applied for extensions for those permits?
I show we are applying for those extensions next month and the months following.
Paragraph 26 on your Exhibit A. And that is page 12 of 241. Your plan is to construct a new tank battery, correct?
Yes, just one central tank battery.
And you've already testified that Marathon has no existing surface facilities, correct?
That is correct.
How much more cross-exam do you have, Ms. Shaheen?
I don't have much, and I would like to just take
Go right ahead.
30 seconds to confer.
Okay, well,
With
you're
my
taking
client.
time to confer. I'm going to discuss an issue. It's about court reporters, so.
Okay,
If we're going to need a court reporter for tomorrow, we have to attempt to schedule one now. We will have until 4 o'clock to cancel to not be charged for that court reporter for tomorrow. I have no idea how long this is going to go. It's taken longer than the typical hearing takes. Miss Hardy, it sounds like we're getting close to the end of cross-exam for this witness. Will your geologist take about the same amount of time as this witness did?
From my perspective, for my direct and rebuttal, I think probably it might be less.
Okay, but it could be the same. Ms. Shaheen, a question. When it comes to the geologist, I need some estimate on your cross-exam needs for the geologist. Have you planned that out in advance?
yes, and I anticipated that we would finish today. I don't have any more questions for Mr. Miller.
Okay.
So unless you or Mr. McClure have a lot of questions for him, I think we can finish up with Mr. Patrick today.
That's my hope.
Okay,
So Freya, let's not schedule one for tomorrow, okay? Let's just keep our fingers crossed. And I would like to spend less time scrolling through exhibits. Everyone has a copy of them. Just open to the page and look at them, please. That's taking time out of our day. Mr. McClure, questions for Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Examiner. I do have questions for Mr. Miller.
Shoot.
Mr. Miller, if we were to ask Marathon to reevaluate their AFEs that's included in its exhibit packet for purposes of checking for accuracy, do you understand what I'm asking for?
I do.
Okay. When Marathon is negotiating with different working interest owners, is it common for the discussion to involve different trade options?
Certainly.
Would it be normal for Marathon to provide a list of its different interests?
That would not be typical.
How does negotiations typically take place then?
Typically, the interests are determined in a particular area, and a party will submit a trade proposal or any kind of consideration proposal with the information listed out.
Do you feel that Marathon negotiated in good faith with Tumblr?
I do believe we negotiate in good faith.
Are you familiar with the initial hearing orders that was issued by the division that forced pooled interests back in 2023 for Marathon within this area?
I am aware of them.
Why did Marathon not drill the wells per those orders?
I cannot speak to Heritage or Legacy Marathon's action before the acquisition, as I did not work for that company. And as I said in my testimony, we were charged with integrating these projects earlier this year, reevaluating them and working them from the ground up, basically. Knowing that the pooling orders were to expire May of this year, We just could not feasibly budget and apportion a drill schedule line to a rig to come out there and perpetuate the orders.
Does the current proposed project, let me restart that question. Is the currently proposed project different than the project that was proposed initially by Marathon?
Yes, I believe so.
How significantly is it different?
We changed spacing and bottom hole locations on a number of wells.
Is any of the formations that's being targeted different?
It's still the Bone Spring and the Wolfcamp.
Are there different horizons within the Bone Spring and Wolfcamp being targeted?
My knowledge as the original plan of Legacy Marathon is, I'm just not as familiar with the original plan of the Legacy Marathon to answer that question accurately.
When Chronicle or whatever went on with the Chronicle Marathon deal that we've been talking about, did Chronicle / the new Marathon, are they still beholden on the original obligations that Marathon held?
Could you clarify the obligations?
In as Marathon had made a commitment to the division that it was going to drill those wells within a year, and then later within the second year when it got extended.
I'm unaware of that commitment. We had to let the pooling orders expire just for the inability to go and drill it. Since we only had go ahead.
Is Marathon making a commitment to drill these wells as a part of this application that we're hearing today?
Yes.
Do you believe Marathon made a similar commitment back in 2023 when they came to and with that application?
I can only speculate. I wasn't working for that company.
Would you agree that all operators in all compulsory pooling cases is making a commitment to drill out the wells when they ask the division to use its state powers to force working interest owners to commit to those units?
I would agree with that.
Is Marathon asking to drill these wells beyond the typical 1 year window from issuance of the order?
No, I believe with the commitment of acceleration that we will be able to start developing this project within the 1 year of issuance, subject to our executive approval.
Is that included in the current exhibit packet anywhere?
No, it is not. That particular commitment, you mean? Apart from the standard commitment?
I guess let me ask the question. Let me ask the question again. Does the schedule that's currently included in the exhibit packet just reference drilling the wells in the year 2027?
Yes, the timeline that I believe you're referring to has the well scheduled to spud in 2027. That was prior, that's where they are on the schedule right now, just due to where the permit expirations are.
Mhm.
But due to this matter, I have received assurances from management that the wells will be accelerated to comply with the terms of the pooling order.
I guess I'm just debating whether I should provide additional context or not. I was going to say, due to announcement back in 2024, we do allow for competing cases for operators to propose a schedule beyond the first year. However, having said that, based on what is it correct that Marathon now intends to drill the wells within 1 year of the issuance of the order? Do you need a moment to consult with your attorney, or?
No, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
hear the
Okay.
question mark.
Let me. Oh, I apologize. I started out with some context and then I kind of moved straight into. I guess with the consideration that the order may allow for drilling outside of the first year, is it Marathon's intent to still drill these wells within the first year?
That is our intent.
Okay, and if I were to ask for the exhibits, especially where it kind of has the schedule there, to be amended to include that new intent. Do you understand what I'm asking for?
I do.
And I got too many windows open here. If I can draw your attention to, well, essentially your track map, exhibit 8.6 should be page 83. Do you have that in front of you, Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on this, on these tables on the right, we kind of have our breakdown of interest. Do you see where I'm referring to? That rightmost one says track one ownership.
One sec. I was over on the Bone Spring side of things. I'm going to flip on over. I mean, the Wolf Camp side of things. Flip on over.
Okay. To be fair, I think the exhibits are essentially the same.
Yeah, they're essentially the same. But if you're going to ask something specific about the Bone Spring and the Wolf Camp, I just want to make sure I was on the right page.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm there.
Okay, do you see where it references operating rights? Kind of there in boldface next to Marathon at the top of the table there?
Yes.
When it says operating rights, do you simply mean working interest?
Yes, that's just a working interest. As Tract 1 is a BLM lease, and the rights are split between record title and operating rights typically. Record title is also synonymous with lessee. We denoted the working interest owners as operating rights owners.
Okay, so then it is accurate to say that when I see operating rights here, that's equivalent to where I normally see working interest. Is that correct then?
You would be correct.
Okay. And then where it says leasee on the one on the left, is that equivalent to mineral interest, or
That's
what are we
equivalent
looking
to,
at there?
that's equivalent to record title interest, which can be severed from the working interest. It could be a party can hold both, but they can also be severed. So a
Okay.
lessee or record title owners doesn't own any interest in the cost-bearing part of the development or the revenue of the development, but they own a interest in the lease, just being a record title owner.
So then is the only mineral interest owner and what you're calling track one is the federal government?
Correct.
Okay. Now, where you reference overriding royalty interest owners and you just have it broadly spoken as various, is that referring to this prior table, or what is that referring to?
I believe that was done just to fit that table on on a single page. And the unit recapitulation, fun word, it lists out the override owners
For the entirety of the unit.
for the entirety of the unit, correct?
Do you agree that what you're considering track 1 here is made up of 3 different sets of ownership?
Yes. We just did our tracks based on leases.
If I were to ask you to amend this exhibit to list out the 3 different sets of common ownership and to break out the interest in each one of those sets, do you understand what I'm looking for?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is it accurate that Cimerex and Wash and Waltz has some sort of joinder with Marathon in its proposed unit?
Walsh and Watts has given us a letter of support. They have not signed onto our JOA. We've received communication from Cimerex that they intend to negotiate and sign our JOA.
Okay, but at the time of this hearing, neither one of those persons has signed a JOA with Marathon, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. In regards to your list of communications with Tumblr, what is the reason that you started at January of 2025 rather than prior to that?
We acquired Marathon, ConocoPhillips acquired Marathon in November of 2024. It became effective, but the transition of their assets into our company did not happen until early of this year due to the holidays for the most part, but also the length of time it takes for data and files and contracts and everything that comes with an asset to be integrated into our company.
Have you reviewed the exhibits provided by Tumblr in this case, specifically their timeline of communications?
It's rather lengthy, and I focused on the communications that they had with me and my team. I can't speak to the other communications in great detail.
Do you believe those communications occurred
I have no reason to
at
doubt that.
least? Okay. I guess I skipped a little bit on you, Ms. Hardy, if you're the one sharing. But if we can look at your NSP map, I guess might be the best way to say it, page 90.
I call it a hassle halo, if you want a nickname for it.
A hassle halo. uh, on here, you reference towards the where at the top of the header of that table on the right, where it says operator if existing well or operator rights owner. Do you see where I'm referring to, Mr. Miller?
Yes.
by operating rights owner, here is an instance where I should read that the same as working interest owner, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. The well locations included in the CPAC and Form C102s that's included in this exhibit packet. Do you believe all those locations are accurate, Mr. Miller?
I have no reason to doubt their accuracy.
Ms. Hardy, can we show the CPAC for one of the cases? And Mr. Mill, if I can draw your attention to specifically the legal description that's on the first page of the CPAC. It's kind of in the middle of the page there, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, I see it.
Are you in agreement that this should say range 36 east? Or excuse me, range 34 east rather than 24 east?
I am in agreement that we will be sending out revised notices.
And in addition
Or-
to that, if we can make a correction to this CPAC to correct that, do you understand what I'm asking for by that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I believe that this error is duplicated across both cases, I believe.
I'm sorry, sir. Was that a question?
No, sir. I was just referencing that that CPAC correction will be made to both cases. And then I was just reviewing my notes to make sure I don't have any other questions before I pass you on. Oh, I do want. Mr. Miller, I guess just to keep with my habit of flopping back and forth, I'm looking again at kind of the bottom of your unit capitulation table on page 87. I guess it's near the bottom, it's not at the bottom.
I'm there.
Okay, it looks different than what's being shared. One page up, if you would, Ms. Hardy. Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing it on there. On the one I'm looking at, that's page 87 of 241.
Oh,
I believe this is for the Wolf Camp.
Yep.
Which is why it's not matching what Miss Hardy has there. Do you have it in front of you, Mr. Miller?
Page 87.
Yes, 87 of 241.
I have it in front of me.
Okay, you have 4 persons listed down here. I guess one of them includes a marathon for production payment. What is that meant? What's the nature of this ownership?
Production payment is it's a contractual agreement between parties, especially during a exchange, similar to an override, but it is and it can be negotiated however the parties want to negotiate it. But it's typically a set amount of production needs to be paid to a party until a certain time is reached or a certain volume or certain dollar amount, whatever is negotiated. But it is very similar to an override.
Again, it looks like Marathon is asking the division to force pool 3 different persons that has these production payments in their various agreements. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you, Ms. Herring-Examiner. I have no more questions for this witness.
I have a question, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at Marathon's Exhibit A7, the letter of support from Walsh and Watts. It's on page 90 of 243. And this is a working interest owner of 6% in the Bone Spring and Wolf Camp formations who says that he believes you have the superior plan because it best protects correlative rights, prevents waste of reserves, and prevents stranding of acreage. I then go to, and that letter is dated September 9, so I'm assuming that that entity received the August 25th letter sent out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And that August 25th letter included the AFEs that you have here, starting on page 106 of 243.
I didn't send it out personally, but I don't doubt the veracity that the AFEs were included with,
Okay.
like every other interest owner,
I think
working interest owner.
I think I was going off your prior testimony to say that. So if that's correct, what are the categories that Ms. Shaheen pointed out that were missing from this AFE?
Ms. Shaheen probably can give it to you better than me, but casing and tubing, directional drilling, MWD, LWD, bits and mills, and I believe we kind of stipulated to a few cost categories.
Okay, and some of those costs could be substantial?
My knowledge, yes.
Okay. How does underestimating the costs in an AFE impact working interest owners?
I wouldn't agree that this is underestimated. Are you speaking as a hypothetical?
What word would you prefer I use when categories that can be substantial are left out of an AFE? Maybe underestimating is not the right word. Maybe it's negligently omitting. I don't know what word you want me to use, but you understand the point, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
I'm wondering if the costs are included in some other categories and not apparent right now, just on the face of it. We can provide a detailed AFE with the specific costs to clear up any of this confusion.
That's what Mr.
Correct.
McClure requires for this case to move forward. But I'm asking you because you don't know that those costs are included here.
Correct.
So it looks like they were omitted, whether it's negligently or some other reason. No one knows. And I'm not assigning any kind of blame to it. I'm asking you, how does that lower cost estimate affect working interest owners?
If I was a working interest owner, I would want to sign up with the lower cost operator.
You said that kind of fast and I didn't catch all the words.
If I was an uncommitted working interest owner, I would want to sign up with the operator that is purporting lower costs.
And what happens if someone signs up for this project? Let's say they execute the document that you asked them to based on this representation here, and later it turns out that those costs were overlooked and now they need to be addressed somehow. how does that impact the working interest owner?
I believe in the pooling order, there is a challenge to costs that are overrun to a certain threshold, or I would have to read the specific paragraph, but in the gist of it, it speaks to being able to challenge the costs. Prior to a pooling order being issued, I would assume a refiling would maybe be in order, but I would have to consult with my attorneys, my regulatory attorneys.
Is there something called a surprise cash call?
There is a cash call provision in the pooling order. I doubt it's a surprise. It's written in there.
Okay, and what is that? What does that mean to a working interest owner?
So when you are pooled, the operator has the ability to ask for your proportionate share of the costs upfront and to be delivered in a certain time frame.
Including costs that were overlooked?
Subject to that challenge, I'm sure. But I haven't had a whole lot of experience in that kind of situation. That has not occurred in my career to this point.
Okay, Ms. Hardy, this is your opportunity for a brief redirect, so please keep it to important points.
I just have a couple of questions. I think one was going to be that we don't know, do we, whether these specific categories that are listed here are rolled up into the other categories that are listed,
That's a
right?
succinct way of saying it. Yes,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. And if a party signs a JOA with the operator based on AFEs, the JOA would govern the treatment and handling of the well cost, right?
They would.
And regarding the email that we've all heard so much about, and I hate to go back to it, but Ms. Shaheen asked you if you had requested township and range information from Tumblr. Do you recall that question?
Yes, I do.
And is that what you meant when you asked for a specific proposal? I've actually got it right here with an offer with the specifics to the interests.
Yeah, that among other specifics. Yes.
Okay. Those are all of my questions. Oh, I have one more. I'm sorry. Almost. Are the well proposals provided in your exhibits along with the AFEs that we are looking at here? And specifically, this is the August 25th, 2025 letter, which is the proposal update, along with the AFEs. Is that the operative set of AFEs and well information that applies to this case?
To my knowledge, yes.
And that's the most updated information?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all of my questions.
Thank you. Ms. Shaheen, is there any recross on those few questions?
Not relating to Ms. Hardy's question.
Thank you.
No.
What do you mean?
Well, there are always questions that I think, oh, maybe I should have asked.
Oh, that's great. Right. Well, thank you for being honest about it. Okay, may this witness be excused, Ms. Hardy?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Patrick? You've been very patient, Mr. Patrick. You've sat through 2 days of testimony. I hope you learned what to do and what not to do. I remind you that you're under oath.
It's his birthday, so
Oh,
this is what he
gosh,
gets
happy
to do.
birthday, Mr. Patrick.
No place I'd rather be.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you.
By whom are you employed and in what position?
I am employed by ConocoPhillips as a staff geologist for Lee County, New Mexico,
And can
southern
you,
half.
okay. And can you provide a brief summary of your education and experience?
Yes, I obtained my bachelor's degree in geology in 2009 from Western State College of Colorado. Subsequently went to work for the mining industry in Lee County. And then I moved over to the oil and gas companies, Apache, where I got my master's degree while working full-time in 2015, and have since been working as a full-time geologist.
And what do you do in your duties as a geologist at ConocoPhillips? Can you give me sort of a range?
Yeah, I'm an asset geologist, so I evaluate reservoirs and then I put together programs working directly with the reservoir engineering group to make proposals for developing oil and gas operations.
And have you prepared direct testimony and exhibits in these cases?
I have.
Okay. And those are exhibits B and B1 through B4.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any changes or corrections to those?
No, ma'am.
And do you adopt them as your testimony?
I do.
Okay. And have you also prepared rebuttal exhibits?
I have.
And can you tell me, well, I believe there's an objection to the rebuttal exhibits, so I would like to go through with him why he prepared them and what they.
Let's see if there's still an objection. Is there, and first of all, what are the rebuttal exhibits labeled?
They are labeled B5, B6, and B7.
Right, and I didn't allow Tumblr to admit rebuttal exhibits to those exhibits because they had not been admitted into evidence. So there may be additional rebuttal exhibits if you still want those to be admitted. So I think you should think about it for a moment. Do you still want B5 through 6 or 7 to be admitted?
Well, I would need to go back and look at Tumblr's proposed exhibits, but I think.
Why don't you,
Can I ask my witness briefly?
yes, and exactly why and maybe his testimony alone will be sufficient and we don't need the exhibits and therefore we can avoid other rebuttal exhibits. So why don't you?
Exactly.
I'll give you 15 minutes to do your direct, and if you need more time, ask for it.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Patrick, did you review Tumblr's exhibits?
I have, yes.
Okay. And I wanted to go through some of those with you. Well, let me ask you this first. Can you identify the intervals Tumblr is proposing to develop that ConocoPhillips is not developing?
Yes, ma'am. That would be the Upper Avalon target. That would be the Bone Spring third carb target, and that would be the Bone Spring third sand target.
And let's talk about the Avalon, and actually I can go to Tumblr's exhibits.
I'm sorry, can I just clarify? Are we still talking about the rebuttal exhibits? Or are we moving on to
We're
Mr.?
just doing a general direct examination.
Okay.
By my understanding, is that correct, Ms. Hardy?
That's correct.
And then we'll get to the rebuttal, I guess, at the end of this.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay.
Is there a page number that you're going to here?
Okay.
'Cause I was trying to avoid the delay of going from page to page. Do you have the Tumblr exhibits there?
Not in front of me, no, sir.
Do you want my copy?
Sure.
Thank you. There. Can you just give a page number, Ms. Hardy?
Let me get to it. And I'm looking at Tumblr's type curves, starting at D11.A. And this deals with the Avalon. It's at page 239 of Tumblr's exhibits. Do you see
I
that?
see it on the screen. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is one of the intervals that Tumblr is proposing to develop that ConocoPhillips is not, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and why isn't ConocoPhillips proposing to develop this interval?
Through our evaluation, we believe that we pull type curve component wells off of very specifically landed wells for our components.
I'm sorry, I'm going to object because these are engineering exhibits and Mr. Patrick is not an engineer. He's a geologist.
So outside the scope?
Outside the scope of his expertise and his testimony.
Ms. Hardy?
Mr. Patrick works with the reservoir engineers and he helped select the intervals that ConocoPhillips was developing based on his geological inputs. And I think he can speak to geologically how and why wells were selected and are being proposed.
Okay, so I'll thank you, Ms. Sheen. I'll allow the question as long as you phrase it from a geological
Sure.
perspective.
Sure.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Hardy.
Okay. So from a geological perspective, and I understand that's what you're testifying about today,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Okay. Why didn't ConocoPhillips choose to develop the Avalon?
We believe that a 15-mile radius, which is just under 700 square miles, is a broad overbrush of pulling type component wells for the type curves. So we are much more specifically targeting closer and more relevant and what we think is a better geologic representation of what the Goliath project will produce.
And I can look at your exhibits. How did you select the wells that ConocoPhillips was going to drill here?
Yeah, we specifically select wells that are targeted in the upper Avalon. And then I submit those to the reservoir engineering group and they conduct their evaluation based on spacing and completion size.
Okay. And what was it about the Avalon that caused ConocoPhillips not to want to develop it?
We found very few component wells to make up a type curve that looked geologically similar to
I'm going to object. I don't believe that Mr. Patrick is qualified to testify about type curves. He's not an engineer. He didn't provide any type curves from Marathon.
Okay, Ms. Hardy.
He is testifying from a geological perspective about the wells that you select that you put into a type curve, because ConocoPhillips did its evaluation based on geology in conjunction with engineering. So he's absolutely qualified to testify about how those wells were selected.
So Ms. Shaheen, as a geologist, are you saying that there's no basis to testify on the selection of the wells?
I'm saying that Mr. Patrick doesn't have the expertise to talk about type curves in EUR as a representative. Mr. Villarreal's type curve exhibits D11A through D11G, I believe.
Okay, Ms. Hardy, in trying to keep this to this gentleman's expertise, is there a way you can ask the question without referencing the type curves?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, because the type curves were created by the reservoir engineer. And I understand that you're saying that part of that is geology. I get that. But could you just stick to the geology part?
Yes.
Okay.
So from a geological perspective, is there a significant variation over 15 miles?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is that true, particularly in this area of Lee County?
This is a very structurally complex area in Lee County, especially over a 15-mile radius.
So are wells that are located within a 15-mile radius of this development an accurate representative of what you would expect to see within this project area?
I do not believe so.
Okay. And are there other concerns that you have as a geologist regarding development of the Avalon?
There is significant H2S that we expect to see during the production of the Avalon wells.
And is the Avalon a proven reservoir in this location?
We would not prove it. We would not consider it a proven reservoir in this area.
And if the reservoir becomes proven, would it be possible to come back and develop it at a later time?
Our proposed development in the Goliath would have significant distance from the First Bone Spring, which is the shallowest interval we're proposing in, to the upper Avalon, that there would be very, very little chance for depletion.
Okay. So could ConocoPhillips come back and develop the Avalon once it's proven?
That's correct.
And what about the third Bone Spring carbonate interval, which is also an interval that, well, tell me if I'm correct, that Tumbler proposes to develop that ConocoPhillips does not?
That is correct.
Okay. And I'm looking for just so I can use it as a reference for myself. In fact, I don't even need to share it. And why isn't Marathon developing in this location the third Bone Spring carbonate?
We also believe it is an unproven reservoir in this area.
And why is that?
We could not find very many component wells that were geologically similar.
Okay. And again, are wells within 15 miles in the Third Bone Spring Carbonate a good analog of what you would expect to see at this location?
No, we would never use a radius that large.
And did you determine that there's geological risk to developing the Third Bone Spring Carbonate?
We believe so. With the lack of analog wells in the area, we think there's significant geologic risk to this current reservoir at this time.
And is this a proven reservoir?
We would not consider it a proven reservoir
And
here in this general area.
if the reservoir becomes proven, can ConocoPhillips come back and develop it at a later time?
We believe so. We believe, as was mentioned earlier, that the carbonate that is in between the Third Bone Spring Carbonate and the Second Bone Spring Sand is a prominent frac barrier. So we think that the depletion risk would be very limited.
And with respect to the Third Bone Spring Sand, again, are wells within 15 miles a good analog of what you would expect to see at this location?
Objection asked and answered like 3 or 4 times.
Ms. Hardy?
I'm asking about the Third Bone Spring Sand, which I haven't asked about previously.
Ms. Shaheen, I think she's asking about a different formation at this point. Please answer the question.
We also believe that the radius is too large for the Third Bone Spring Sand to be a correct representation of what we think that the reservoir would produce in the Goliath area.
And is this an interval where Tumbler is proposing to develop that Marathon is not? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And why isn't Marathon proposing to develop the Third Bone Spring Sand at this location?
We think it is also an unproven reservoir in this area. And from the direct offsets, we saw underperformance. And so we think that the risk is pretty high here. So we don't want to propose high risk intervals in this development program.
Are all of the zones in which Tumbler has proposed wells that ConocoPhillips has not high risk in your geological opinion?
Yes.
And what does high risk mean from your perspective?
Means the chance of economic success is pretty low.
At Marathon and ConocoPhillips, do you incorporate geological risk into your projected recovery estimates?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you explain how that works?
If we have a low subset of wells that we think are geologically similar, we think that the risk is increased, and we actually reduce the EUR for those wells to compensate for that risk. And therefore, we think that the cost could outweigh the benefit of the production.
Again, I object to Mr. Patrick testifying about EUR. He's not an engineer, and I don't believe geologists are qualified to calculate EUR.
Mr. Patrick, what is EUR?
Estimated ultimate recovery.
Okay. And tell me why a geologist can opine about EUR.
So I don't create the EUR or determine it. I just give the geologic risk associated with that production. And then the reservoir engineer gives the EUR a haircut per se, so that we are putting an economic risk on the portfolio.
And the objection is that the testimony is outside his scope. And the question was what, Ms. Hardy?
The question was how ConocoPhillips, to his knowledge, incorporates geologic risk into its estimated recoveries.
Okay, so it sounds like you answered the question and then you went a little further.
Well, I think I asked him to explain how it works.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then you're the one who got him in trouble.
Probably.
I sustain the objection, so please ask the question again so we can get the answer into the record, but do it in a way that doesn't go beyond his scope.
Okay. From your perspective as a geologist at ConocoPhillips, can you explain how geological risk is incorporated into production estimates?
I'm going to object because I don't believe that geologists do production estimates.
That's not the question. The question is not how do you do a production estimate? It's how does geology factor into it? So he's just giving his component of it. So I'm gonna allow that part of it. Please answer the question.
We incorporate the geologic uncertainty into the expected production results.
And was that done for the Goliath development?
It was.
Okay. And in your experience, or in your opinion, do you believe it's prudent to incorporate risk, geological risk, into expected production estimates?
I believe it is prudent to incorporate the geologic risk into your expectations for the project.
Did you see any indication in Tumblr's exhibits that it incorporated geologic uncertainty into its production estimates?
Nothing specific.
And you've heard Tumblr's testimony that Marathon is leaving behind recoverable reserves, correct?
Yes, I have heard that.
And from a geologic perspective, in your opinion, are those high-risk reserves?
Yes,
Again, I don't believe he's competent to testify about reserves
Why not?
because he's not a reservoir engineer.
Isn't geology, from what I understand, you need to incorporate geology into reservoir engineering. Isn't that a component of it?
Perhaps so, and the reservoir engineer should be here to testify about that.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that point. The question is that question outside his scope of expertise? Would you rephrase the question to be very careful not to go into reservoir engineering and just stick with geology?
Sure. Well, I think as a geologist, are you working to determine whether there are reserves that are recoverable? Is that part of your analysis?
my analysis is to come up with component wells to hand over to the reservoir engineering group to put numbers to it.
Okay. And are the reservoirs that Marathon is not developing here, or the intervals, high risk from a geological perspective?
I would say there would be a high variability in the production results from a geologic standpoint.
And so the intervals we've spoken about, the Avalon, the Third Bone Spring Carbonate, and the Third Bone Spring Sand that Tumbler proposes to develop are high-risk geological areas from your perspective. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would
this
consider
point.
them high risk at this point. Yes.
Okay. And we've heard a lot of testimony about delay in the timing of this development. Have you listened to that testimony?
I have.
And are you familiar with the subsurface team's work to integrate this project from Marathon into ConocoPhillips' portfolio?
Yes.
Okay. And were you involved in that process?
Yes.
And did you look at this project as a brand new project for ConocoPhillips?
Yes. When Marathon was acquired, merged, whatever word we're going with, into ConocoPhillips, they had only currently had First and Second Bone Spring proposals in their handover documentation. And it was only for the west half of this project. So we have gone and fully developed or fully proposed the entire project in the First, Second Bone, as well as the Wolfcamp A and B.
And how did did that take time? Did it take time for the subsurface team, including you, to evaluate this project and determine how to go forward?
Yes.
And what type of work did you do in that evaluation?
We did a geologic overview of the different formations, and then we had to put together component wells that I could give to the reservoir engineering group to build type curves. And then we had to risk them, and then we had to make sure that the spacing was proper for the risking.
And all of that occurred subsequent to the transaction.
That's correct.
Okay. In your opinion, well, let me ask you, did it take time for you to receive project-specific data from Marathon?
The integration was pretty lengthy, yes.
Okay. And in your opinion, will Marathon's development plan best prevent ways to protect correlative rights?
I believe so.
Thank you. Those are all of my questions.
Thank you. Ms. Sheen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you.
I might be jumping around, so bear with me. You haven't performed any studies to determine whether a particular formation is high risk, have you?
I object to the form. I think that misstates his testimony.
I believe Mr.
Hold
Patrick.
on.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
I was
sorry.
asking for your input at the moment.
My bad.
And I'm going to overrule that. It seems like a pretty straightforward question. And I think the witness understands it, so I'm going to allow it. So say it again.
You didn't perform any study to determine that the intervals at issue here are high risk, did you?
I looked at the amount of development in the area in these formations that were in geologically similar areas, in my opinion, and there was not very much proven production in the area. So that's how we risked it on a geologic basis.
Is that testimony in your direct testimony?
I do not believe so.
Do you have any data to support that resulted from your study?
Not in these exhibits, no.
So there's nothing in the record that supports your opinion that these intervals are high risk?
Well, I object his testimony is in the record.
Right. I agree.
There's no support.
The
Let me
testimony's in the record now. You asked the question, he answered it. If we want, if Mr. McClure wants, he can ask this gentleman for whatever data he might have to support his conclusion. But at this point, you open the door, you ask the question.
Right, but my question was, is there any data from his study? And he's provided no data
Right.
in his direct testimony, and he's provided no data in his testimony today. He's just given his opinion.
Well, he just gave you the basis of his opinion a moment ago when you asked the question.
Right, but there's no data that support that opinion. He just said, oh, I looked at something.
Right. Okay.
So,
No one's arguing with you. Yes, you're right. So go ahead.
and my point is, I don't think his opinion is reliable because we don't know what data he's relied on, what wells he's looked at, what production he's reviewed.
Well, when it comes to reliability, Mr. McClure and I will judge the reliability of his testimony, whether we believe him or not. And for subsequent questions, maybe there'll be some redirect. I don't know. But at this point, you haven't elicited any testimony to make me not believe what he just said.
Okay, well, I'll continue then.
Okay.
Did you perform any studies that resulted in data supporting your opinion that these are unproven reservoirs?
From compiling the component wells that we thought were geologically similar to the Goliath area and providing those to the reservoir engineering team, we think that there's a high risk to make economic wells under our parameters.
And which component wells did you examine?
I don't have them off the top of my head.
And what are your parameters?
Geologically similar areas within a constrained geologically similar. So we're not going to go 15 miles out in a radius. We're going to keep it much closer to where the proposed projects are.
And when you talk about a 15-mile radius, why are you talking about a 15-mile radius?
Because I think there is risk whenever you expand your component well selection list out that far.
And how far did you expand your study of component wells?
I don't have that number in front of me, sorry.
You don't know what wells you looked at?
Not off the top of my head, no,
And you don't know where they're located?
not specifically.
You don't know how far away they are?
Specifically, no.
And you're aware that EOG proposed wells in those intervals, right?
Objection, I think that misstates evidence testimony today.
What evidence do we have of EOG
Well-
anyway?
We have the rebuttal exhibit
Okay,
D15,
okay.
the gun barrel
And that's,
of EOGs.
have you asked this witness, has he reviewed that exhibit?
Have you reviewed Tumblr's rebuttal exhibit D15?
I have looked at it, yes, ma'am.
And you heard the testimony earlier today in that regard, correct?
I'm not sure what specific testimony you're referring to, but I know we've discussed it.
The testimony with respect to rebuttal exhibit D15, correct? You were here for that?
I was here in the courtroom, yes, ma'am.
And have you reviewed that exhibit?
If you don't mind pulling it up, that would be helpful. Is it in one of these?
You have it, Ms. Hardy? All right. I have a copy I can give to him if you don't have it.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
So you understand that EOG previously proposed development of the Avalon and the Third Bone Spring Sand and Carb, correct?
What I'm looking at here, EOG proposed lower Avalon wells, and it does not look like they proposed any Third Bone Spring sand wells from this gun barrel. They did propose Third Bone Spring carb wells, which with that frac barrier, I believe is going to be protected from the second bone and the Wolfcamp A proposals that we've put out.
So you agree that both Tumbler and EOG proposed wells in the Avalon, the Third Bone Spring Sand and the Third Bone Spring Carb, correct?
No.
Turning to your statement, Exhibit B.
Page 119.
Am I sharing? I don't mean to be sharing. Oh,
But it's page 119 is the first page. What page do you want us to look at?
that's what I'm looking for.
119.
119.
Mhm.
In paragraph 8, you state that there's a lack of preferred fracture orientation here. Do you see that testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the report cited by Mr. Collins in his statement with respect to preferred fracture orientation?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you familiar, that would be the Lund C report, correct?
What report?
There's a report cited in Mr. Collins' statement, the Lund C report, which relates to preferred fracture orientation.
I'm not familiar with that exact report, but
Let's turn to it now.
okay. I see it referenced on page 184.
Yes, thank you.
What is the exhibit number?
Exhibit B, page 184 of 328 in Tumblr's exhibits.
Just B, not B something?
This is just B,
Okay.
his
thank you.
statement.
Is there a paragraph number?
Yes, well, it's a little I, so I believe it's 13 little I.
Thank you.
Could you read that into the record, please, Mr. Patrick?
A south to north drilling orientation is appropriate to align the production wellbore perpendicular to the maximum horizontal stress.
And are you familiar with the report that he cites in support of that statement?
I have not read that, no.
Are you aware that there's a need to align the perpendicular wellbore to maximum horizontal stress?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Do you agree with Mr. Dillon's statement in this, with Mr. Collins' statement in this regard?
Yes, and I would also say that north to south is the same as south to north when it comes to orientation.
Do you still stand by your statement that there is no preferred fracture orientation in this portion of the trend?
As Mr. Collins said, there is a primary source orientation, and we are following the same guidelines in our proposal. So
Why did Marathon fail to provide gun barrel diagram in support of its applications?
is that a mandatory exhibit? I'm sorry, failure seems to be an inappropriate word for that.
Well, I'll rephrase it. Why didn't Marathon support its applications with a gun barrel diagram?
We've got all our well proposals out there.
Are you aware that the division usually requires a gun barrel diagram in support of its compulsory pooling applications?
I object to the form of that question as calling for a legal conclusion.
I'm
And
just
I also-
asking him what he knows.
I also don't think it's accurate.
Okay, Ms. Shaheen?
Yes, I'm just asking him if he's aware.
But you said usually requires. I mean, do you know that to be a fact?
It is included in the exhibit index that's requested, in which OCD requests that operators
Okay,
include in their package, yes.
Ms. Hardy? Is it requested in the exhibit list?
It's listed in the compulsory pooling checklist, but it is not always provided.
Okay. So is there a way for you to frame the question now that we know that it's something we like, but we don't, I guess, require, and I don't know the answer to that. I'm not in technical team. Okay, I just got the answer from Mr. McClure. Thank you, Mr. McClure. Is there a way for you to rephrase the question without saying that, without making it seem like it's mandatory?
Why didn't Marathon include a gun barrel diagram in its exhibits?
Because it's not mandatory.
Are you aware of existing and imminent offset wells that are potentially draining the acreage at issue here?
Yes, I'm aware there are existing wells in the area.
Did you consider the drainage in developing, and when I say you, I mean Marathon. Did Marathon consider the drainage in developing its timeline for drilling these wells?
There was depletion risk put on this project in Marathon's evaluation.
Turning to page 123 of 241.
What page number, please?
123.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
Yes,
What depth is your Wolfcamp B target on this log? The TBD?
we must be looking at something different. I'm looking at the first Bone Spring sand.
This is page 123 of 241 in case 25541. It's probably in your notebook.
Yep, the Wolfcamp B would be right at 13,000 feet TBD from the log. That is API number 3002536666600.
And what Goliath wells are targeting this depth?
There are no proposals to target 13,000 foot TBD in the Goliath proposal.
Turning to page 103 of 241. And this is in the same case. I believe. What is the target depth of the 601H
13,100 feet TBD.
and the 602H?
Also 13,100 foot TBD.
And the 603H
The same.
and the 604H?
Also the same.
So which is the correct target depth for these wells? Is it 13,100 feet or is it 13,200 feet?
I don't understand the question.
Well, if I understand correctly, when I asked you about Goliath wells that are targeting the Wolfcamp B target on the log on page 123, you said there were none targeting the 13,100 foot TBD. Did I misunderstand your testimony there?
I must have misunderstood the question. I thought you're asking where the Wolfcamp B top was.
Well, we asked what depth is your Wolfcamp B target on the log on page 123 of 241.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought you asked for the top. The range is roughly 13,150 to 13,225. I put a range in there from my brackets.
Okay, so then what Goliath wells are targeting this depth?
That would be the 700 from this diagram, the 700 series.
Turning to page 118 of 241. Paragraph 8. Would you please read that into the record? Oh, actually, you know what? I think we already covered this. Page 123 of 241. Do you show a log here? In your cross section? If we refer to the logs in your cross section,
I see them. Yes, ma'am.
it's clear that the amount of oil in place is very different from the northern log to the southern log on the unit. Assuming that this difference is not real and therefore conflicting with your statement about equal contribution in the unit, which log is correct?
I object to the question as very confusing. but
Does the witness
if
understand?
the witness
question?
understands it,
No, I don't.
Okay.
Uh,
Would you what are you trying to ask? Just put it in plain language.
Okay, let me try to do that. If you look at the two logs on page 123 of 241, it appears that the amount of oil in place is different from the northern log to the southern log on the unit. Does that make sense?
These logs do not show oil in place.
Okay, I'll withdraw that question. And I think do your maps of offset wells show all nearby offset wells in the formation that your slides reference?
In the targeting formations, to my knowledge, it does.
What number of offset wells would be needed to no longer be a quote exploration play in your view?
I would say at least 20.
Is that an industry standard?
No, that's just my opinion.
How do you define the term exploration play?
I would base it on a risk or an uncertainty for the performance that you would expect from the reservoir in that geographical area.
And what are the parameters of the uncertainty that you would use to define an exploration play?
The amount of proven offset production in that specific reservoir and target.
What amount would be your target or would be your cutoff?
There is no specific cutoff.
So at what point do you define something at an exploration play?
It would be associated with the risk and the uncertainty that you would expect.
I guess I'm asking for some specific numbers that you use to place a certain development proposal into the exploration play. And you're giving me some general terms that you think about or some general factors that you think about, but you're not telling me at what point it becomes an exploration play or becomes a proven reserve. What's the cutoff?
I would say that an exploration play would have no production in it.
And so are you saying that your review of offset wells indicated there was no production in those intervals?
No, I don't believe I've ever referred to any of these targets as exploration plays.
I think the other questions I have relate to the rebuttal slides that we have not yet resolved. I don't believe. Have we resolved that?
No, we haven't resolved it. Have we, Ms. Harding?
well, I think I was able to have my witness address those issues without introducing
The slide.
the
That's what I
slides.
thought.
Okay,
So
so
the
we're,
slide's not admitted.
okay.
And I think there were 3 of them, weren't there?
There were 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I think based on his testimony, I can ask these
Great,
questions.
go ahead.
What ppm concentration constitutes high H2S?
Well, 5 ppm can be deadly to the human being.
And is that what you're using to define high H2S here with respect to the Avalon?
No, ma'am. I provide what we think the ppms are going to be for the H2S, and then I give that to the reservoir engineer so that they can adjust their OPEX model for producing those wells.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, one of your criticisms about the Avalon is that it's high H2S. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what do you mean by high H2S with respect to the Avalon in this instance?
That we would incur higher OpEx so that it would also hurt the economics of that project. So which would increase the economic risk for producing that reservoir.
And what ppm concentrate leads you to conclude that it's going to result in higher costs?
I cannot give you a specific number.
You don't know.
I do not know.
What is the nearest data point you use to suggest the potential for high H2S?
I do not know.
Do you know what the water cut is in the Wolfcamp B?
I'm sure it varies.
I'll direct you to Tumblr's Exhibit D11. Page 2. Oh, there's more than one, huh? This is the A through G to page, sorry, 239 of 328. In each of these exhibits, 11A through 11G, the bottom left-hand corner, it indicates a water cut. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you considered the water cut in any of these formations?
These are Tumblr's estimates, so
Yes.
I do not feel comfortable speaking to them.
This is not something you've considered, is that correct?
This is not our analysis.
Have you performed an analysis about the water cut in the Wolfcamp B?
I'm sure at Marathon they have. I provide the component wells and the reservoir engineering team puts the analysis together.
Okay, so you have not done any kind of study or analysis of the water cut for any of these formations, is that correct?
I have not.
Thank you. If I could just have a minute or two to confer with my client, I might be done.
Okay. Yeah, you can get out. Yes.
I have 241.
This is oil. Ready? Mr. Patrick? Thank you. Not at all. Ms. Hardy, you ready? Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Shaheen, go ahead.
I think I only have one more question, and it's actually one I already asked, but I wasn't clear about it. Now I understand. Turning to page 123 of 241. This is the cross section, Marathon's cross section. Bone Spring. It's exhibit B4 in 25541. So I understand now that the green here that's marked is actually oil in place. I believe your testimony previously was this doesn't indicate oil in place, but I understand, and let me know if you disagree, that the green is oil in place.
This is a saturation curve, so it's how much oil we think is filling the pore space, but it's not a barrel calculation of oil.
Right, but the legend indicates OIP, correct? In the legend for green, OIP?
It does, yes.
Okay, so with that in mind, it is clear that the amount of what's identified here as oil in place is very different from the northern log than it is in the southern log. Would you agree?
I do agree, yes.
Okay. Assuming that this difference is not real and therefore conflicts with your statement about equal contribution in the unit, which log here is correct? Which one are you relying on to make your statement?
I believe they are both correct. If you look at the southern log, you have a much higher porosity, and so we have to fill those pores with fluid. And so we think that there is more oil and water with the higher porosity. So that just goes to show that the variability is over a very small distance and that you do see pretty tremendous porosity swings over only, I think it's just over 5,000 feet.
How do you know whether you're filling that porosity with oil or water?
The petrophysicists do that calculation based on multiple parameters and logs that we calculate downhole.
So you're relying on the petrophysicist to opine that the contribution with each tract in the unit is equal?
I rely on them being an expertise in their field. Yes, ma'am.
And that is what you base your statement on with respect to equal contribution. Am I understanding correctly?
I'm not sure what the question is.
You're basing your statement about equal contribution on the unit despite the variance in oil in place indicated on your cross-section. You're relying on the petrophysicist's determination that the higher porosity on the the northern log, I believe. Which one is northern and which one is southern?
The northern one is going to be on the left.
Okay. Notwithstanding the much lower oil in place numbers in the northern log, you're opining that there's equal contribution from each tract in the unit, correct?
Let me refer to my testimony real quick. Make sure I fully understand.
This is page 118 of 241, paragraph 9.
Can you repeat the question again?
You opine in paragraph 9 that the tracts comprising the unit will contribute more or less equally to the production of the wells, correct?
Yes. I also state that it'll more or less equally to the production of the wells.
And you make that statement notwithstanding the differences in the two logs with respect to oil in place saturations that are evident in your exhibit B4. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. No more questions.
Mr.
Thank you.
McClure?
Mr. Hearing Examiner, I do have some questions for the witness, but I was wondering if we could take a 5-minute break before I get to them.
5-minute break. It's 4:00. We'll come back on the record at 4:05. Thank you.
Now he is.
But I think he's muted.
Are you talking to me, Mr. Hearing Examiner?
I was. It's your turn.
Ah, okay. I apologize. The Pecos Hall was in private mode still, so I don't think I heard you the first time.
Okay.
But you're good now, of course. Since obviously, since we're conversing. Thank you, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Mr. Patrick,
Yes, sir.
do you agree that there is no frac barrier between the Third Bone Spring Sand and the Wolfcamp A?
I do not believe there is a prominent frac barrier between the Wolfcamp A and the Third Bone Spring Sand. No, sir.
If it was to be discovered later that there is recoverable oil, economically recoverable oil within the Third Bone Spring Sand, would Marathon be able to then drill and complete wells into that target if there's existing wells within the Wolfcamp A?
They would be able to drill wells into that target if there were determined to be economic quantities of oil in that reservoir.
Would they be able to do so without causing negative impacts upon the existing Wolfcamp A wells?
There is a chance for communication with development after previous development.
In regards to your determination that these other target intervals, that being the Avalon, the Third Bone Spring Carbonate, the Third Bone Spring Sand, being determined as high risk targets that you were testifying earlier today. Are you on the same page of what I'm referring to, Mr. Patrick?
That I believe they are high risk?
Yes, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where I was actually going with that was a follow-up question to it, I guess. If I were to ask you for an additional supplemental exhibit, which provides us with the parameters and screening that went into making that determination, do you understand what I'm asking for?
Yes, sir. It would also entail a conversation with my reservoir engineer.
Mr. Hearing Examiner, would we be able to take on an exhibit from a different expert or not?
Before I make a determination on that, let me ask Ms. Shaheen, what's your position?
I would object. They should have provided that information in their direct case. They made no effort whatsoever to do so, and it would be prejudicial to Tumblr to allow additional testimony when Marathon failed to support its applications the way it should have.
Let me understand this. Mr. McClure is asking for the criteria used to either analyze or exclude different wells in determining that these formations were risky. Is that correct? Is that what you understand? That
Yeah.
is what you understand.
That's what I
So he's
understand.
testified to it.
He testified to it from a geological
Right.
perspective.
Right.
And for Marathon to be able to supplement the record with reservoir engineering at this point is unfair surprise and prejudicial
Okay.
to Tumblr.
Okay. I agree with what you're saying. So what I am clarifying is the following. You said that you did an analysis based on certain wells. Why can't you come up? Why does that require a reservoir engineer why can't you just submit your own analysis outside of a reservoir engineer's input?
So I can, but the way that we risk it from a geologic standpoint is to the EUR. And I'm not a reservoir engineer, so I don't create type curves. And so when we're risking them, it's an economic risking basis based on geologic uncertainty.
I don't think that's what Mr. McClure is asking for, that final product. You've already testified to that final product. I think what he's asking for is, what analysis did you do and what parameters did you use to come up with whatever you came up with in your expert opinion? That's what he's asking for.
I can 100% provide an API list for the component wells that we used for this analysis.
And Mr. McClure, I don't think that's all you asked for. Would you clarify what you asked for?
Yeah, I was interested in the parameters, as you were saying earlier, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Like how they created that list as to which ones were screened for what to include versus exclude.
I could provide something that details that out.
Thank you. Any objection, Ms. Hardy, to that ask?
No.
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
And Ms. Shaheen, that avoids reservoir engineering testimony. So thank you for your input. Anything else, Mr. McClure?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Mr. Patrick, if I were to ask Marathon to provide us with a gun barrel, do you understand what I'm asking for?
Yes, sir.
No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Thank you, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
All right, thank
you.
Ms. Hardy, I don't have any questions for the witness. I generally don't. Do you have any redirect?
Really only one or two.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Would you reference the question that you are referring to orient the witness and myself?
Yes, I will. Ms. Shaheen asked you a number of questions about the statement in your affidavit that the tracks in the unit would contribute more or less equally to production. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and she was asking you about that testimony in relation to your well log. Do you recall those questions?
I do.
Okay. And have you reviewed Tumblr's geology testimony by Mr. Dylan Collins?
I have looked through it.
I'm going to pull that up, at least hopefully I am. And if you look here,
Where is here?
I'm getting there. It's in paragraph 13,
Of what page number?
page 183.
Thank you. Is this an exhibit B or something like that?
It is in Tumblr's Exhibit B.
Thank you.
Yes. And can you read what the affidavit states there in paragraph 13G?
Each quarter section in the Bone Spring HSUs will contribute more or less equally to production.
And can you also read the paragraph that is sub 13H?
Each quarter section in the Wolfcamp HSU will contribute more or less equally to production.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. McClure, did you have anything further on that one question?
I had nothing further, Mr. Hearing
All right,
Examiner.
wonderful. All right, may this witness be excused?
Yes, thank you.
All right, do you rest your case?
I do.
All right, sounds good. Ms. Shaheen, you rest your case?
Yes, I do.
All right, wonderful. All right, let's talk about post-hearing matters at this point. Mr. McClure, I know that you've asked different witnesses for things. Do you happen to have a list of asks for both parties that you can just go through at this point?
I do, although there was a few things I wanted to walk through the attorneys on their assorted exhibits.
Fine. Do you want to start with that?
Yes, I mean, I think it might be easier to show them what I was referring to in regards to the notice. I believe we already talked about the
October
legal
14th.
description at the beginning, right? The
We did.
range.
We said that the division was going to renotice. Ms. Ms. Hardy's cases for October 14. We'll put them at the front of the docket. And that way, that should cure the notice. And I don't know whether Ms. Hardy has other notice issues with that legal description, but that's up to her to cure.
Okay, sounds good. Ms. Shaheen, if I can direct your attention to, let me get the right packet open. Essentially, your notice of publication is what I'm looking at. If you'll notice, there's only 3 cases included here, and like the bottom of the 3rd case is cut off. You see where I'm referring to, Ms. Shaheen?
Are you on page 252 of 328?
I'm looking at page 328 of 328.
328. Oh, the bottom of the affidavit of publication is cut off.
Yes, and it looks like we have 2 full cases listed. We have most of a 3rd case, but I believe you have 5 cases in total.
We will submit a revised statement with the full affidavit of publication.
Very good. Actually, I think that was all the extra notice I wanted to talk about for Tumblr. Okay, Ms. Shaheen, assuming that I haven't missed anything, because I know there was a lot of discussion over the last 2 days. What I currently have on my list is I would like for you to include the exhibit that we kicked out yesterday, that being the NSP notice map. I believe it's your exhibit A6.
We will submit that.
I want to see a full or submission of all emails between Tumblr and Marathon.
Okay.
I also have a note about APIs on the geology cross section. Let me look at that again just to make sure. Do you remember what page that's on, Ms. Shaheen?
198 of 328.
Yes, okay, that's correct. I think I did ask for that. And that's it, to have an API number included for each of those logs that's listed there in the cross section. And then I believe I also have a note about correcting the typo in the landman statement that I believe you were already planning on.
And if you don't mind just reminding me which typo.
Yeah, I believe it's currently something along like March of 24, and it should have been March of 25.
Okay.
It was in the paragraph like 27, maybe.
We will find it.
Yeah, I believe it was a year difference on a letter that was sent out, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
And then, of course, the what you guys had going on with your redlining, we'll just need a final submission that takes all that into account with all the exhibits that need to be left off, and such corrected.
Absolutely.
Miss Hardy. On one of your cases, case 25542, page 129. This should be the notice spreadsheet for the NSP notice, I believe. Are you with me, Ms. Hardy?
Did you say 145?
And 129
129.
for case 542.
The other one.
It may be the other. I apologize, Ms. Hardy. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Okay.
Okay, are you're looking at the top page in your NSP notice spreadsheet?
Looks like this is the notice spreadsheet. I think this is
Well,
the,
Oh, let me provide a little bit more context. What I meant to
Yeah.
say is this is where that first page is supposed to be, but it looks like there was a some sort of swap and you accidentally included the last page. Or this may be the NSP for, oh, excuse me, this is the notice spreadsheet for the compulsory pulling case, I believe. And you accidentally included the last page of the NSP notice spreadsheet here
oh, okay.
instead of
I
the
see.
page that's supposed to be here.
Okay. I see that. I can see what happened on that.
Okay.
It looks like the pages are maybe out of order.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It looked to me like we just accidentally stuck that in there because I didn't see the page anywhere that was supposed to be here, but that's not to say it ain't somewhere else, I guess.
Okay.
You also noticed on your public notice that the incorrect legal description made it into one of the cases.
That's what we are. Yes.
Okay.
With the
And
application or the,
well, if you go down to your page 243 of 243 for your NOP,
the publication notice.
yes, ma'am. And then for case 25541, the incorrect range made it into that notification.
Okay. We'll fix that.
Okay. Then on page let me see if I can get you the page indication. I'm looking for the BLM notice for the NSP in the notice spreadsheet. $195 maybe. For case 25542, I'm looking at page 197 of 243.
Okay.
Do you see where the BLM date says 9/9/2025 there?
Oh, yes. That
Is it
notice,
accurate?
that notice was sent, so I'll include a copy. I think that probably is that may be the date that it was sent. It looks like it is.
Okay, but
But it
when we
was
come
sent. Yeah.
But when we come back on, after we continue these cases, it would be your position that notice will now have been cured to the BLM. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I think the only question I had before we get into a list is the amended applications, and you guys might have covered this yesterday, I'm not sure. Of the amended application, is that the application that got provided to all the interest owners?
Yes.
Or is it your original application that got provided?
I actually think no, it was the amended application.
Okay, so your notice spreadsheet that is in this exhibit currently, that's the milling for the amended exhibit or amended application.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, then of my list, I guess, of what I had, if we can be provided a gun barrel diagram, the amended drilling schedule that indicates that Marathon intends to drill the wells within 1 year of issuance of the order. Of course, the exhibit C2 that I was just referencing for case 25542, which is your notice spreadsheet, has the wrong page there. We'll need to correct both CPACs to have the legal description correct. We'll need to have Marathon conduct a review of the AFEs that are referenced within this exhibit packet, and then provide a supplemental exhibit with those corrected AFEs, assuming corrections are needed. If not, if we can provide a statement saying that they're not required, the amendment is not required to them.
Okay.
And then the parameters and list of APIs that was used by Marathon's geologist to make a high risk determination of those 3 different target horizons. And then I believe that is a correct accounting from everything I could remember anyway, or caught during.
And Mr. McClure, I believe you had also asked Mr. Miller to provide the tract maps to break out the ownership interests that are now by lease.
Thank you, Ms. Hardy. Yes,
Yes.
that's an important one that I want. I apologize for missing that on my list here.
That's
We most
okay.
definitely do need that. We need that tract breakdown and the summary of ownership broke out. And as long as I didn't miss anything else, I guess that's a completion of my list at least.
That was all that I had, Mr. McClure.
Are you waiting for me, Mr. McClure?
Yes, I was. I
I wasn't sure if you had a list for Ms. Shaheen or if you'd already done that.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I had touched base with Ms. Shaheen
Okay.
prior to Ms. Hardy.
All right, let's talk about post-hearing proceedings. We're coming back in a little less than a month. When do the parties anticipate being able to submit the amended exhibit packet? I'll start with you, Ms. Hardy. It sounds like you have more to submit than Ms. Shaheen does.
I do, and I'm not sure. I think the main thing is for me to find out how long it would take to provide the geologic information that Mr. McClure has requested. So if I could confirm. I think we could provide all of this information. Well, we'll republish the notice. So that would be provided once that process is complete. But I think we could provide all of the other information by the end of next week.
Okay, all right. And then the notice evidence, when would that be ready to be provided?
As soon as we can get it in with the newspaper.
Right.
we would do it. I mean, we can send it in tomorrow.
Is it just published notice that you need, or do you also need some sort of mailed notice?
It's just the published
Published.
notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we say, I mean, so you only have, I'd rather you only submit one
That's what I
amended
was thinking.
packet. So do you have a date when you think you could submit one packet?
So I would think by October, 2 weeks from this Friday would be October 3rd.
2 weeks from this Friday will be October 3rd. Okay. That seems fair to me, especially it gives Mr. McClure plenty of time before the 14th to review the evidence. Ms. Shaheen, is October 3rd a date that you can comply with?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And Ms. Shaheen, you're clear about what Mr. McClure wants and what you need to do for the revised exhibits?
Yes, and I appreciate him keeping a list.
I'm going to go over my list of exhibits that have been admitted and excluded just so that everyone is on the same page with me. And I'm going to start with marathons. Marathon had all of their original exhibits admitted into evidence via stipulation by Ms. Shaheen. Ms. Shaheen had objected to all of the rebuttal exhibits. Then during the hearing, Marathon introduced two exhibits that I admitted. One is cross-examination 1, a 5-page document with emails, I think, Ms. Hardy?
That's correct.
Good. And then cross-examination number 2. I don't know how many pages that was, but whatever it is, that was admitted as well. So that should be part of your packet and labeled as rebuttal. I think you called them rebuttal exhibits, didn't you?
Cross exhibits.
Cross exhibits.
Yes.
Not rebuttal. Okay. So just cross. All right. Then from my notes, I show that exhibit A12 was admitted.
Correct.
And that's a rebuttal exhibit?
It is.
Okay. So that's the only rebuttal exhibit that I show was admitted.
Right. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Very good. All right. And that's everything I have for Marathon. Now for Tumblr. It was a little bit more difficult and confusing, so I'm going to go through it line by line here. For Tumblr, Exhibit A was admitted after it was amended. You show that machine? All right, very good. Exhibit A1 was admitted. Exhibit A2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were all admitted through stipulation. A7 was admitted. A8 was excluded. And those are all the exhibits I have for A. Is there something I'm missing here?
I'm just not sure about the exhibit numbers for the sub-exhibits. So let me just double check.
Sure.
A8 was a rebuttal exhibit, is that?
Yes, and it was excluded. I have it written in several places.
Okay,
A7 was a rebuttal exhibit, but that was admitted.
okay,
And then A1 was objected to, as was A, but I admitted them both after you revised A, and then I just admitted A1 as it was.
okay. Let me say that again.
Sure.
Was it different
Let's
from
start
what you
with-
said
let's start
before?
with A. Originally, let me get to your table of contents. Hold on. Oh, that's Marathon. I have 2 copies of, I think I've given away my other copy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Patrick. All right. Now I have your original book. Let's go through your original table of contents and your rebuttals, okay?
Okay,
A is admitted. A1 admitted. A2 admitted. A3 admitted. A4 admitted. A5 admitted. A6 admitted. Then we get to your rebuttal exhibits. A7 admitted. A8 excluded. That's all the A's. Those are all came in under Mr. Weeks. What time is your flight? Was. It's too bad. Well, Santa Fe is a great place, so I'm sure you can find something enjoyable here. Sorry about that. All right, Exhibit B. Exhibit B was admitted. All of the original Bs were admitted. B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, all admitted. Now, the rebuttal the rebuttal Bs were not admitted. They were not admitted because they were rebuttal exhibits to Marathon's rebuttal exhibit that was never admitted. Okay, so B6, B7, and B8 were not admitted, and that finishes the B's, Mr. Collins exhibits. Now we move on to the C's, Mr. Baker's. C was admitted, C1 was admitted, C2 was admitted, C3 admitted, C4 admitted, C5 excluded.
And was C5 a rebuttal exhibit?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
That leaves D and I think E. Of course, your exhibits all came in. All of your E's came in. Okay. So there was nothing,
Notice was fine.
there was no objection to them. They came in through stipulation, your
Right.
D's, right, Ms. Hardy? The notice,
Correct.
right, that's what I thought. Okay, let's deal with the D because we had a lot of problems with D's. Mr. Villarreal. All right, so originally, there were lots of objections to D's. I think, was it all? Did you just basically object to all the D's?
Well, no, I think ultimately I did not.
Oh, okay, all right. I wasn't sure if it changed along the way, but there were a lot of problems with D. Anyway, D, you have revised. You sent over a red line edit. Miss Hardy accepted it. So please just accept all those changes and include that revised exhibit D.
Okay, and I would note that I believe we excluded the references to the exhibits that were excluded.
You did.
So I'm not going to change the exhibit numbers unless you want me to, because it's going to go from D1, D2, D3, and then it's going to
That's fine.
skip to D6.
I don't want you to change the,
Okay.
it would be mass
Okay, good.
confusion if you did that.
That was my thought.
So D was admitted. Now, you're gonna have to help me with D1 because I have a line. Oh, yes, because originally you did object to D1 through 15. That's why I had a line. That's why I had that there. Then you withdrew that and we dealt with them individually.
Right.
So D1 and D2 were admitted.
Yeah, I think it actually corresponds to Marathon's objections for the most part.
Well, you're gonna confuse me if let me just go
Fine.
through my list.
Okay, okay,
So if you'll note this down.
all right.
Revised D is admitted. D1 is admitted. D2 is admitted. D3 was excluded.
Mhm.
D4 was excluded. Want to make sure you're keeping up.
Yes,
Okay.
D4 was excluded.
D4 was excluded.
Mhm.
D5 was admitted.
As revised.
Yes, as
yes.
revised.
Right, because you sent the new PowerPoint revising it. Yes. D6 was admitted. D7 admitted. D8 admitted. D9 excluded. D10 admitted. D11 admitted. D12 admitted. D13 admitted. D14 admitted. D15 admitted in part. Do you understand what I mean by in part?
Mhm.
You do, okay.
The first page was
That's exactly
admitted.
right, exactly. And the other 40 pages, yes. The EOG stuff was out. Okay, now, with that being said, we've agreed that October 3rd is the deadline, close of business, 5 p.m. To submit the revised exhibit packets as reflected by Mr. McClure's requests and my rulings on evidentiary matters. All right, now, Mr. Court Reporter, today is the last day of the hearing. What day do you anticipate that the transcript will be available?
Typical turnaround is 10 days,
Mhm.
10 business days, so.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
All right, so 2 weeks. So, all right. What would be, so wouldn't that be the same, basically October 3rd date that they're talking about? It may be a few days before that.
Yes,
Good.
yeah.
I would like to make a request now, since we're paying for it. I don't want Q&A throughout the transcript. I want names. I want to know who's speaking. Okay? All right, and I know you can request that, so I'm asking you to request it.
You got it.
Freya, is there anything else I should be requesting on the transcript to make it easier for the parties to use? Oh, do we care about the word index?
We haven't had that discussion with Veritex yet.
Oh, you have not. All right,
No.
then we won't have that discussion now. We won't deal with that. We're not gonna make your life harder. Okay, is there anything else I need to request?
Nothing comes to
Okay,
mind.
wonderful. Okay, as soon as we get the email with the transcript, we will notify the parties. We will put it in the imaging system and you can download it from there. Now, Mr. McClure, what would be helpful from your perspective when it comes to post-hearing submissions besides the revised exhibits? Do you want, would a limited closing argument be helpful? Would it be helpful to have proposed findings and conclusions? What would it be helpful?
I'm not typically a big person on closing arguments, but
Okay.
there are a couple specifics that maybe it would be good to have in this specific instance.
Okay,
But I would definitely have it extremely limited.
okay. Do you
But
want
no
to say,
findings of facts and no conclusions of law, just a closing argument would be fine.
okay, are there topics that you want the parties to focus since they have limited space to do so?
I want bullet points on the good faith negotiation argument from Tumblr's perspective specifically. Other than that, I guess I'd give them free reign as long as they're within the page limit.
Okay, what you set the page limit? What do you want?
I mean, what would you? I know we've been given like 10 page.
That's
Do you think
the upper.
that's too lenient?
No. How many- let me ask council. Maybe they have some input. Miss Shaheen?
I think 10 pages double spaced would be good since I'd like to brief all 7 factors, so
Okay. And you feel like you can do that in 10 pages?
what do you think, Dana?
I think 10 pages, is
Perfect.
fine.
So we won't count the certification page as part of the limit. We won't count the front page, which has the caption. So besides those 2 pages, it's 10 pages of double spaced text. Okay. All right. So 10 pages, Mr. McClure, we've agreed on it. 2 weeks, would 2 weeks be fair after the October 3rd transcript? Does that seem fair to you, Machine?
Yes.
I was just wondering if it would be helpful for us to have it done by the October 14th.
I don't know that 3 and 14 is 17. So what would that mean? That would mean it was the 3rd of Friday, Miss Hardy. You proposed the 3rd.
It is. The 3rd is a Friday.
So that would be the Monday then after. Would you like to make it the Friday?
If it would be helpful for the hearing, I think we could.
I don't think it would be helpful for the hearing. I don't think Mr. McClure is going to start really digging into the cases until after the 3rd anyway.
Okay.
I don't see any reason to rush it for that reason. Right, Mr. McClure?
Yeah, I agree with that assertion.
All right, Mr.
Or
McClure has
statement, I
other,
mean.
you have other things to do, right, Mr. McClure?
I do have a few other things to do. That is
I
correct.
figured you did, sir. All right, so we'll say the 17th. close
Okay,
of business?
October.
If the parties need more, just send an email, and if it's not opposed, I don't see any reason to rush you if you need more time to make your argument, but you got 10 pages to do it in. Okay, all right. Am I missing anything, Ms. Hardy?
I don't think so.
Oh, good. All right, Ms. Shaheen?
Just checking. I thought, okay, 2 weeks after the 3rd is the 17th. Got
Correct.
it. Okay,
And that's a Monday, close of business.
that works for me.
Wonderful.
Does that mean by 5 o'clock?
Yes, by 5 o'clock, yes.
Okay, not by
Oh,
midnight.
I did want to say one other thing that just occurred to me. Before you submit your revised exhibit packet to the division, please send it to the other party for their review, and do so with at least enough time to be respectful, to give the other party some time to look through it, to make sure that we're getting what we're supposed to and not more and not less. And if there are objections, please let me know what the objection is, and we'll give you more time to work it out. We're not here to rush you. I'm glad I thought of that. Well, let me say thank you to the witnesses that appeared in person. It really, it's a sign of respect to the division, and that's how we take it. It really allows for a much more, a better flow for the give and take. So thank you again. Okay, anything else? No.
Not for me.
No?
No, thank
No,
you.
all right, well, we're off the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.